Ding ding, everybody. We are back at it once again. We are in the building. This is Ringside Presents Corner Confession. And in this corner, we have an amazing and intrepid actress. I just made her acquaintance not too long ago, following her on social media, and she is doing a lot. Can't seem to get a hold of her. She's not in Atlanta. She's in California. She's kind of everywhere. She is all over. So, but I want this to be an opportunity for her to let you guys know who she is. So before we dive into it, darling Nikki, I want you to just briefly tell people who you are, what you do, and what makes you a darling.
Hey everyone, my name is Darling Nicky. I am a sex worker advocate and adult film actress. I am based in Houston now.
Okay. All right.
And as of right now, working on a couple transitions within my work, starting some new projects and implementing some new things to see what I can do with my business and explore some new options and growth.
All right. Okay. So, I know, well, first and foremost, how long have you been? I know you say you're an adult sex worker as well as advocate. How long have you been in this profession?
I maybe have been in sex work for about 4 years now.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And what was your inspiration?
I think for me it was more of a exploration
Okay.
of my own personal interests and things that I was kind of curious about
Mm-hmm.
when I realized that I could also monetize my energy while exploring is kind of when I started to take things a little bit more seriously.
All right, get that bag. I ain't mad at that. So, people hear the term sex worker, and I've certainly heard that the term. People have labeled me a sex worker because of some of the events I promoted, some of the things I've done, and one of the things that I had to do my own personal research was what exactly qualifies someone as a sex worker. Now, at the very beginning, throughout this process, I've had to grow, I've had to learn, I've had to mature because at one point in time, I thought sex worker was someone like, just has sex for money and that's it. But then I was educated and I was told that no, that's not necessarily. I mean that is one.
Type.
Yeah, that's one type, but there are many. So for the people out there who may be somewhat clueless, like I used to be, who may have their own stigma and perception, what is your definition of what qualifies someone as a sex worker?
I think a sex worker is anyone who is profiting
Mm-hmm.
from soliciting any type of sexual response, whether that might be through a webcam, through a FaceTime phone session. Sexual response as in, someone responding to an invitation to a sex party.
Mm.
Um, I think it's just anything that is curating um, these sexual and pleasurable experiences,
Mm-hmm.
and then also, of course, charging a fee for them.
Okay. So, you mentioned you're based out of Houston, right?
Yes.
Out of Texas. But you're back and forth. You're in Atlanta a lot. Houston, just like Atlanta, you're in the South. Where we are in Atlanta, we're deep into the Bible Belt. We're in conservative country. What has been your experience being a sex worker, but also dealing with, have you come across, people stereotyping you or stigmatizing you? Because again, being a sex worker in any other place in the world and the country is one thing, but when you're in the deep South, people can get kind of uptight morally and ethically, and it can be a lot. So, what have been some of your experiences, and how do you deal with, kind of the conservative perceptions of what you do?
Honestly, I think it comes down to intention and a person's vulnerability.
Mm-hmm.
Um, my intention was always to share my experiences so that I can help and educate other people. And I think with that intention and that vulnerability to expose myself and expose my journey, even these people who are deep in the South and deep in the Bible Belt still somehow find a way to like live vicariously through me,
Mm-hmm.
even if they're not comfortable with publicly showing interest.
They're in the closet with their interests.
Yeah,
A lot of that.
yeah, and sometimes I'm surprised by the accounts that I see that are following me because, they might be small time or family people, sometimes pastors, like.
There's a lot of that going on here. You'd be surprised. I try to tell people, you'd be surprised. Your favorite pastor or deacon may be up in the strip club, or maybe, it does, and it certainly happens. We may not want to talk about it, but I'm not naming names and exposing anybody, but it definitely happens.
Yeah. So I mean, as long as that intention is to help the people that might be watching, I think you can somehow shape the experience to be a lot less negative, maybe.
Okay. Yeah, kind of remixing the narrative. And so, if you were a rapper, I would ask you, who were some of your influences? You're rapping today. I would say, were you influenced by Jay-Z or Nas or Eminem or Biggie or whomever? Some of the legends, some of the greats. Who would you say would be some of your inspirations, like people that you admired or you looked up to, or you kind of,
I feel like there's been so many eras, especially just in the sex industry in general. You have some people who are big in porn. I remember watching like Jada Fire.
Oh no.
Lacey Duvall.
Really quickly.
Yeah.
She is I love Jada Fire. Let me tell you something, okay? I want to put it out there. I know this interview is about you, but you kind of said,
yes, give her flowers.
Yes,
give her
Jada
flowers.
Fire is definitely in my top 3. I love me some Jada Fire. But anyway, let me calm down, dial back. So I didn't mean to interrupt. Go for it.
Lacey Duvall. Just I think everything was so much about representation. So seeing black women, seeing these bodies, and just seeing us represented like with that power, that energy, and then even transitioning just like maybe like sex empowerment or sex education. I know watching Just Studying Jasmine and King Noir do their work on camera and then also like in person at seminars, as well as Tiomi and her sex education. Having these sexual role models, they do not come around often, and the community is very small, and there's very few of us out here actually doing the work, and it's necessary because we don't get sex education, the proper sex education that we should in school. So having these role models, having these people who are choosing to educate, it's really important, and I appreciate all these people.
So what would you say, like when you meet people, both professionally or even socially, regardless of your dating life or intimacy, people are going to have misconceptions. They're going to have those stereotypes. They're going to have, and quite often, sex workers are stigmatized. What are some of the things, or what are some things you'd love to set straight? Because, it's easy, and I think we've all done it, regardless of our background, we do it. Sometimes we do it subconsciously. But what would you like to get the record straight? Because you're going to have people who may judge and who may draw their own opinions, and quite often they could be completely wrong, and completely, off base. But what are some of the things you want to clear up and let people know, like, look, this is what it is and this is what it's not?
I want to say maybe a lot of people have seen sex work, especially with the rise of OnlyFans and how fast things taken off there, that this might be easy work. Um, and I don't really believe at all that this is easy work.
Because it's still work.
It's very much so still work. I think maybe the money might come a little bit faster. You might get paid more often than bi-weekly folks are getting paid, but in no way, shape, or form is this work easy. Some people have gotten lucky. Some people have, you know, just so happen to go viral. But maintaining an audience, staying consistent with content, and finding new ways to expand your brand, it's not easy work.
I mean, but what are some of so what would you say for somebody out there, because I mean, this is going to get views, someone who may be thinking about exploring, this avenue, who may be, on the fence, want to get their feet wet, but, they have a little trepidation, what would you say to someone who, may be thinking about starting out? Like, what would be some helpful advice?
My first advice always is set your boundaries.
Mm-hmm.
Establish what it is you're okay with doing. Establish what you are absolutely not okay with doing. And then from there, establish what prices you feel comfortable doing or offering these services for. A lot of people get wrapped up in, competition, and things like that. But when you are offering your energy, I think it's very important that you value that.
Mm-hmm.
And you set the price that you want, because you want to feel good about the work that you're doing. You don't want to feel cheated, and you also don't want to scam people out of their money.
Mm-hmm.
If you're not actually providing, something that is of the amount that you're asking for.
Mm-hmm.
So I think definitely before getting into anything, it's very important to establish what you're willing to do and what you're willing not to do, because it's sex work, it's sex, it's temptation.
Mm-hmm.
And money and sex go hand in hand in this industry, and people will throw money at you, to see you do the things that they want to see you do. And it's important that you check in with yourself, and you set those ground rules for what you want and what you don't want.
So how do you, I'm not sure if you've been in this situation, but how would you deal with the situation if someone wanted to offer you money, large sums of money, to do something that you just may not feel comfortable doing, or it may be against your values, or you just don't think they'll be proper, or even outside of that, maybe something that you don't think would be beneficial to your brand? How would you handle someone like showing you, that bag? And that bag could mean like, a new car, a new place, or just change your life. But you don't think you feel it, indecent kind of proposal. How do you deal with something like that?
I think with that, you really have to see yourself as a business.
Mm-hmm.
And you have to represent yourself as a business. And I've been offered. I personally do not film interracial content.
Mm-hmm.
This is not because I don't engage in interracial relations, but it's because my focus is on improving and creating this certain type of Black content.
I like that.
And I've been approached by companies who have wanted me to do certain scenes that include me doing interracial things. I've talked to some. I think at first I didn't feel like I could negotiate something.
Mm-hmm.
Also, too, just because they're asking me for an interracial scene doesn't mean that they're not open to shooting me with other Black talent.
Mm-hmm.
It's having to, again, represent yourself as a business, represent what you feel is okay, and speak up for that.
Mm-hmm.
Ask for those things. No one is going to be able to know what it is you're okay with, what you're not okay with, unless you voice that. So it's very important that these things are communicated, and everything is a conversation. You'd be surprised what you can get out of a situation if you effectively communicate, your boundaries and your expectations.
Communication is key. No, I can actually see that because I've definitely watched my share of porn, as many of just like a lot of people, and I've seen black women in certain scenes, and I'm just like, okay, that's you know it's one thing to say degrading, but I've seen black women like do gangbangs with all white men wearing Confederate shirts or being called the N-word or being slapped around, like hyper degrading, and I'm like, okay, does it ever get to the point where the bag is not worth it? Like, yeah, it can be, maybe it will make you in alignment with a different clientele or bigger business, whatever, but it gets to a certain point, like, okay, is it worth it in the long run? So I do like the fact that you want to put a different spin on the narrative concerning black adult film content. So it's kind of dope. I don't think I've ever heard that, but I think it's innovative and I think it's much needed. You say you've been doing this for about 4 years. How did your family and close friends take it when did you tell them, or they found out some other way, or how did they take it?
A lot of everybody found out. It was a surprise to everyone. With my friends, before I had gotten started in film, a video of mine was actually leaked on the internet.
Ooh. Revenge porn?
Or it was revenge porn.
Oh gosh.
And my friends found out. I think like my older brother found out. Everybody was just more concerned like about the relationship I was in and if I was okay. And I was. It was a big misunderstanding and something that I wasn't ready for at the time. And then with my mom, she actually walked in on me while I was recording a solo video, and so she walks in on me, and I'm there on the floor, and
was that awkward? Or?
It was, but it was a beautiful awkward because she sees me on the floor, and then she looks past me at the window behind me, and she walks past me, and she closed the blinds, and she says, "Next time, just close the blinds."
Okay.
And
good.
she went about her business, and I was like,
"Shout out, Mom."
Okay.
I'm feeling that. Okay.
But,
I mean, Mom still got your back.
Yeah.
She's just like, hey, just close the blinds. So.
Yeah, she's
big
my
shout
number
out
one
to Mom.
supporter. She's always been like super big on self pleasure. So I think just her walking in on me masturbating was kind of just like, oh, okay, cool.
Okay. Yeah, I think that that can be awkward when you're rubbing one out or rubbing one in, and someone just walks in and is like, oh, how goes it? Yeah. So, really quickly, because I meant to ask this earlier, but your name, Darling Nicky, and the way the font. Are you a Prince fan?
I am the biggest Prince fan. Me and him actually share the same birthday.
Oh my gosh. Okay, so really quickly, what is your favorite Prince song?
Ooh.
Do you have a favorite, or is it too many to name one?
Yeah, I have I don't know. I have a couple. Black Sweat is up there. Insatiable is up there.
Insatiable is great.
Darling Nicky is up there. I was actually just listening to the Batman soundtrack last.
Are you? Oh, I don't want to sound. That's before your time. That's you like okay. Okay, I ain't mad at that.
But yeah, I'm a big Prince fan. Prince philosophy, everything, so much more deeper than the music.
I ain't mad at that. No, I think that anybody that comes across you and sees you, I'm like, okay, there's some Prince inspiration somewhere around here. I think that's kind of obvious, particularly people, Gen X, like me, like you hear Darling Nicky, it's like, oh, that's Prince. So I think that's awesome. So one of the things I wanted to touch on, which has been all in the media these last few days, I mean, it's been burning up social media, is OnlyFans and the transition they're making. They're doing away completely with all adult, content. And from what I've read, I've researched, it's because they want to, I guess, comply with, some of the standards of their partner organizations. It's a business thing. It's about money for them.
Right.
But I mean, this news swept through social media like wildfire, and people are up in arms, and you got a lot of people wondering, well, what's going to happen to sex workers on OnlyFans? Because I mean, let's be honest. I think we can all agree, sex workers made OnlyFans. OnlyFans was there before, but we didn't know about OnlyFans until
the sex workers got on it.
right when the sex workers got on there. That's when it blew up. That's when OnlyFans became a household name, and also it provided an opportunity for many sex workers to continue making money, but in the safety of their own home, or in the safety of their own studio environment, wherever
be independent performers. Yeah.
Absolutely. So I know you got an opinion somewhere in there. What or how did this news affect you, or how did what did you think about it when you first heard this?
I was honestly in disbelief.
Mm.
I was like, oh, you know what? They might be shutting y'all accounts down, but like they're not gonna shut my account down. And I think that was just before I had read any statements and read through the actual terms and the new updated terms. And then once I did read through the updated terms, I was like, oh, like they're dead ass, like they're not fucking playing. Yeah, like they're really taking this shit down. Which honestly it's always been in the back of every single person that's ever used OnlyFans, in the back of their minds. Like, we've had issues on there as far as some of the banking systems that they used. OnlyFans holding money, OnlyFans not paying out people, OnlyFans money disappearing from people's accounts sometimes. So like we always kind of knew that things were like a little sketchy, and that there was always the possibility that something could happen. Now I just think that this is a big push for everyone to start legitimizing themselves, their brands, their businesses. I think it'll honestly weed out the people that might have just jumped on the bandwagon and who didn't really have any interest in like taking this like the long route, or taking it further than what it was.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, it became. I think that you probably did have a lot of men and women who just like, look, I'm gonna just start an OnlyFans account.
Yeah.
And just versus people who I guess demonstratively showed more commitment, or more they really were about this life, versus people who were just doing it to follow a trend, or some people just started one just to say they had one. From other sex workers you've spoken with, do you think that many people had a plan B, or because I think it was Tyga, and you have a few other competitors who, once they heard the news of OnlyFans shutting down adult content, they started their own platform. So there's a great possibility that there will be another platform which will allow adult content makers a place to create content, and so on and so forth. But with something like this, do you think it's wise? Do you think it's necessary to have a plan B? In case of emergency, break glass and do something else.
Definitely. I think a lot of us were still on more than one site. If anyone was doing sex work before OnlyFans had gotten its popularity, you were already on Pornhub, you were already on many vids, probably X videos. A lot of the public porn sites allow you to sell your content on there as well. So that was always a stream of income. But yeah, I think it'll definitely push some of these new sites to improve, offer more things to um, their supporters,
Mm-hmm.
and I think it'll also maybe push the models to go into different jobs, whether that's like web design, development, um, marketing, promotional things like that. I think it's really gonna light a fire under everyone's ass,
Mm.
and also show them that things like this happen, and it's not the end all be all.
Mm-hmm.
Sex work has been around for forever. We are recession proof.
Got that right. You ain't never lied.
Yeah, and yeah, shit will keep going. We'll
Mm-hmm.
keep delivering that quality content.
Yes, indeed. Keep it coming. Okay, so before we cut out, this has been an amazing, amazing interview. Thank you so much for honoring me with this interview. And I know we've been kind of playing inbox tag. I'm really glad that we were able to do this. Before you head out, is there social media you want to give out, or any events you got coming up, or anything you want to promote really quickly?
I did just wrap up a retreat up in the Blue Ridge
I
Mountains.
saw.
It was an intimate and erotic healing retreat.
Mm-hmm.
Where we had invited just all types of people. We had invited couples and people who are interested in exploring their sexuality, people who were already a little bit evolved in exploring, but were interested in meeting other people that they could explore with. First timers. We had a pretty great mix of people, and we just all wanted them to come together and create a safe space for them to open up,
Mm-hmm.
be vulnerable, and have the chance to establish these deep connections with people, whether they were attracted to them or not attracted to them, whether they were platonic, romantic, purely sexual. We just wanted to give people the space to like thrive and
Mm-hmm.
grow, and do that from a place of love.
Right.
So that was really great. It was.
The videos and the pictures were dope.
Thank
They
you.
were very nice.
That was the first, and it will not be the last. Um, the next retreat will more than likely be next year, but do stick around and stay tuned on my socials, because we will be trying to throw a couple events in between, for the people who weren't able to come out but would love to meet us, or
Mm-hmm.
just learn something new.
And so, what's your IG, or what's the best way people can stay in touch with you?
You can follow me on Instagram, and that is at xdarlingnicky, and that's DarlingNicky. I am also on Twitter at the same name, at xdarlingnicky. I am running a promotional sale on my OnlyFans until shit hits the fan. If you'd like to check out my content there, that's onlyfans.com dash Darling Nicky, Nicky. And yeah, you can find me on your like local porn channel, whatever, station, website, whatever you use. If it's Pornhub, X videos, many vids, I'm on there at Darling Nicky.
All right, I'll definitely do some research, quote unquote. All right, well, thank you so much, darling Nikki.
Thank you.
This has been an absolute pleasure, and we will see each other again. Thank you so much.